Hello guys, I just want to give you a little glimpse of the stuff that I started working for you. So this is a small project I did which has, look, let me show you what it does first. See, can you show the light, right? So basically you clap and it changes the color of it. For this experiment, all you need is a breadboard with this hardware that you see. This red color sensor that you see is basically a microphone sensor that has high sensitivity sound detection functionality, and this module is compatible with not only Arduino but also with the Raspberry Pi. Let me explain you this sensor first, right? On this sensor you will see there are 4 legs, right? So those 4 legs you will also have these numbers A, O, which basically is analog output, and it basically real-time output voltage signal of the microphone. And this sensor is used to detect the sound intensity of ambient with analog output and the threshold level output flip. And I will explain the threshold, how you can set the threshold in the actual code when I explain the code. But for the time being, you just need to understand that you will be using this sensor. The next one is this LED light, which basically is a round RGB LED 5 mm 4 leg general purpose lighting, which we'll use in the experiment. And then finally you already have this Raspberry Pi Pico. So let me explain you now how you're going to place this on the breadboard. So if you see your breadboard, right? So your breadboard you will have from 1 to if we look at it, right? So it starts from 1, right? It goes all the way until 30. So you have 30 pin on this side, and that's how they are numbered on your breadboard, small breadboard. And also here you have 1 to 30. So I'll be referring to these numbers while I'm explaining how you're going to cable your sensors. Now here, when you put your Raspberry Pi, you make sure your first leg goes into the 1 and on both sides, and then when you place your this sensor here, this small sensor, it needs to go into the first leg, which is basically, if I may explain you, the first leg AO, which is analog output, that needs to go into 26, and then the next will go 27, 28, 29, and then similarly this LED, which is the RGB LED 5 mm 4 leg LED. Here you see there are 4 legs. So you on these 4 legs, the one leg is slightly longer than others. You see, you need to be mindful of that. So when you place this inside your breadboard, you can put it, for example, your last when you put your Raspberry Pi Pico, your last leg of Raspberry Pi Pico goes into 20. So you can start from 21, but this particular leg, the long leg, make sure that goes into 23. You see here, that one over there, 23. So that's a long leg. That's a long leg. This one. Why it's long? Because it is a ground leg. So basically, it's a ground voltage, and then with the ground voltage, what you see here, which I'm going to touch here, this color, the just next to the ground voltage, and that's basically your red color, and that red color will go into 24, okay, on the breadboard, and then 23 is your long leg. I call it long leg. It's a ground, and then 22 is basically your green color, which is next to the long leg, and 21 is your blue color light, because when the light flips, that's how it's gonna react. Now this is one thing you need to understand. So once you have put all these there, I'm gonna turn it around and explain you how you're going to color code these cabling, right? So if we look at it, right, 20, if I may show you, just give me a second, let me focus. 24, okay, which is your which is your red color, right? And I'll also use the red wire there. That needs to go into here we go. That needs to go into the number 2, right? You see here, number 2. Yeah? That's your red. So here on the other side of the Raspberry Pi, you put that into number 2, the red color, right? And I'll explain later what is this number 2. And then you have 23, which is ground. That's going to go into, and if you look at it, that is a color. Let me show you. That's a black color. You see, that's a ground. So negative ground is going to go into 3, okay, because that's the ground. And if you wanna know why it is basically ground, let me actually show you here on the Raspberry Pi Pico. So if you look at, this is how it is, right? The other way around, right? So this way your Raspberry Pi Pico is. So this lag here, the number 2 is your red, number 3 is your ground. So if I turn it around, you see GND there, ground. So number 2 is GP1, and you gotta remember your red is GP1, okay? Number 3 is GND, okay? And that's the ground. And then number 4 is GP2, okay? And your number 4 is green light. And then number and in the code you will refer it to GP2. And then your number 5 is, which is your blue light, is GP3, and they're gonna go next to each other. I'll explain that in a while. But ground is 3. See here, that is 3 black color, and after that you have a green light right next to that. So you see the 4 I put green, and I didn't have blue, so I put a gray there, gray colored wire, which is on 5. So if I go back in there here, okay, I go back in there here. So you see here, earlier on I told you about all the coloring here. So your green on the other side is going to go into 21, then you got 22, which is your gray color, and 23 is your ground, which is black, and then 24 is your red, which is red color wire. So this way you're gonna place your cabling far, and you make sure you follow this exactly the way I explained it. Another thing you need to understand is this LED, it may burn as well, right? The second thing is about this microphone, right, which is basically a high sensitive sound reduction module, this one, and I'm going to explain how you're going to place it. So you're going to put 29, which is digital output, plus sign is going to go into 28, 27 is your ground, and 26 is your analog input. And if we look at that, right, if we look at that, or 20, I'm going to show you here, is first one is black wire, right, black wire. And black wire is on your it's on the other side. Let me show you here, the first one, right, that's the one. So this is 26, right, 26 is your black wire on my thing here, okay, that's 26, right. If you look at it, the black wire here, 26, right, 26 is gonna go into here on number 10, right. And if I show you what number 10 is on the Raspberry Pi Pico, because it's on the other side now, right? So number 10 is your GP26AO. If you look at it here, this one, yeah? This one here, let me kind of like zoom in, maybe. No, it's not clear very, because I'm shaking a little bit, right? So just GP26 analog output, that's your number 10 in there. And in the code, when you write the code, you will see this line 6 of code says sound sensor is equal to machine.ADC 26. So basically you're getting the analog output from this sensor on 26, and that's why you need to put the 26. And the 26 on which is here your black, actually black cable, yeah, on behind the thing, yeah, see this 26 black cable, you see the black cable here, this one, right, and that's gonna go here on number 10, right. And after the black cable, which is analog output, your next is ground. You see here ground, and ground is in terms of coloring on the back of it, if you look at it, it's a white cable, and that white cable needs to go into number 3 because that's ground, right? So if you look at your Raspberry Pi Pico, you will see here, yeah, you see number 3 GND ground here, yeah, this one I'll zoom in, yeah, you can see that GND. Okay, so that's where the white. I mean, this time I'm using the white color. I mean, there's a still black line on the white color. So that's your this G, and then you have a plus sign, the next one right here, which is your voltage. So you just need to use the 3 line. You don't need to use the DO. You see here DO, which is on number 29. You don't need to use that. You just need to use the AOG and plus sign. And plus sign is on 28, right? So this is 28, which is orange color wire, right? And here it goes into 5, number 5. And if you want to know what number 5 is, you can look at here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3 volt 3. Okay, that's your number 5 pin. This is the voltage pin. And this way your whole cabling is done. And if you do not do it the way I explained it, this is gonna create a problem and it will not work. Okay, this is the first step. I hope you understood everything, and if you can't understand, you can always pause the video and go back and forth. Now next step, what I'm gonna explain to you is about the code. You are gonna actually run your Tony code. So you need to go on to Tony first, and Tony, I'm gonna just, let me click on Tony. Here you go. Here you go. This is, so once your Raspberry Pi is connected, right? It is going to, and then you can see it here, Raspberry Pi Pico, and you just need to write this code which I've written there. The first line of code is from picozero. Import RGB LED. So this is the library you are importing. Now you need to install a module for this one on Tony if you haven't done that before. You need to obviously see my previous video on Tony how to use it, but this module, let me explain you now in the next step how you're going to, before you run this code, you need to install a module. So next step is going to explain you how you're going to install picozero on your Tony. Download it and install it, and then this line will be executed. Install Pico library. You need to follow this. This is first one is package. You need to, I'll do this. You click here on tools, going to manage package, okay, and then you follow this next step, and that is basically picozero module. So you need to install picozero module. Picozero. Search for it. Okay, picozero, this one. Okay, and then we just click on the next, I believe, installing. And if you're not sure, you just can go and see it here, right here. So we clicked on this one. Now we will be on next thing, and bingo, this is done. Now you have, since you have installed picozero, the next step is that you import the sleep from time class, and then you import machine class. And here we have a sound sensor equal to machine.ADC 26. If you remember in the beginning of video on number 10, when we plugged in our sound sensor, and I explained you that you have number 10, which was analog output, and that was GP26. We number 10 on the number 10 the cable we did on number 10 on the breadboard was basically GP26, and I explained you that GP26 is gonna pick up your analog output signals from that GP10, which is basically, now because here we are referring to the GP, so that's basically GP26 here, and that's an analog input. Okay, and that's number 10 cable which we did in the previous one. Then you do the RGB light, right? This code RGB light, and then you call RGB LED function, and then you pass 3 parameters: red, green, and blue. And red is your GP1, and you remember when we did the cabling, GP1 was pin number 2, right? Sorry, pin number GP1 was next to the ground. Okay, that was pin number 2, and then GP1 was red, green was 2, GP2, and blue was GP3. And I explained that in the beginning of the video while I was explaining you how to basically put this there. We look at the threshold level. So when you clap, okay, if you clap a bit lower, and then you need to put the threshold lower. Just want to explain you a little bit more about this threshold, right? This code here, which is threshold, right? You need to adjust that. Obviously I put it to 4000. So if I put it less than 4000, my RGB light is gonna keep blinking, right? Because it will pick up any sound and react to it. So if I, let's say, put it 3000, I save it, sorry, I need to first stop it, save it, run it. Okay, now it's running, and you see here the light is changing itself because threshold is too sensitive, right? So I need to put it to a level where it does not it's not sensitive. So it's minimum 4000, which means anything lower than 4000 it will not pick up. Right now it's fine. So if I do it now, it only react to the clap, right? It's only react to the clap, because I'm gonna this is the minimum threshold it will detect. If there is a sound less than that, it will not detect it, right? Now we're using a simple while function, and we say if the sound then we pick up the sound, okay, from where? From our sensor. We read the sensor, pick up the sound, and we say if our sound value, which we pick up from the sensor as an analog output, right, the sound value is greater than the threshold, which means 400,000, and if the A, and we just writing a small while loop here, and I set the value of it. So every time what I want to do is I want the light to flip, right? So what I'm doing is I'm saying A is equal to 1. If A is equal to 1, then you turn on which light? The first one is the red, okay, and then you set the A to 2, so the next clap it will do that, and then continue with the while loop, mean you go back to again the first line of code, and then you do the pick up the threshold again, and then you, if now the value of A is 2, so it will come here and set the light to green, and then the last one is blue, so set the light to blue. So we set, go back here, we set it to A is equal to 3, so next time it's green, it comes here, and then we set it 1 again, and next clap it will go back in there, and this time way loop will continue. So every time we pick up the threshold clap, we check the value of A. So if last time it was 1, then it will turn it to 2, and then if it is 2, we turn it to 3, and if it's 3, we turn it to 1 again. So this way, blue, red, green, blue, red, green, blue on your clap, it is going to carry on doing. And this is small simple code which you need to run it. You put it, make sure you do the indentation. Sometimes you get error. So for example, if you get an error on the line, do this, right? Do this like this, okay? And just sometimes when you copy paste, you get some spaces, white spaces, which you can't see, but they give you an error. This should pretty much work. Thank you very much for watching, and enjoy the small experiment.